If someone were to ask you who your favorite wrestlers, how do you respond to that? The question started off simply enough, who's your favorite wrestler of all time? And I say Samoa Joe almost every time. But then the conversation goes from WWE to AEW. And while I'm on a TikTok live, guys, we got some great wrestling conversation in, talking about the WWE, talking about who I think should beat Roman Reigns for that unified championship. We talk a little bit about AEW. We talk about managers, specifically Paul Heyman versus Bobby the Brain Heenan. We do all that in about 30 minutes. So why don't you buckle up, join us for the ride, and let's talk some wrestling. Some non-NWA talk for a change. We start now.
Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
You're asking me my all-time favorite. Samoa Joe is one of those guys who whether it be Ring of Honor, whether it be Impact, the WWE, his time in NXT, in AEW, and anywhere he's gone, Samoa Joe's been the dude for me. And that's not to say that Macho Man Randy Savage is not the dude. Of course he is. Brother, cream rises to the top. Sasha, I wonder why WWE misused him so bad. I think they didn't understand what they had with him. Because if you look at Samoa Joe on the surface, he's not the most physically fit guy, right? Like, they don't take into consideration that he can wrestle his ass off. And I mean, a feud with Brock Lesnar would have opened up so many eyes, I think, and they never would pull the trigger on that. And it's because Samoa Joe wasn't intimidated by Brock Lesnar. They could have beat the shit out of each other in the ring, and I think people would have loved it. Yes, and McMahon does like muscles. He certainly likes muscles. Your thoughts on the new championships in the WWE? I mean, the belt itself looks nice. It does, but I really feel like adding a third World Heavyweight Championship certainly dilutes the fact that your tribal chief has both the Universal and the WWE Heavyweight Championship. I feel like it just diminishes some value to it. So for that reason, I don't care for that. I want to see the WWE champion, and I hope at some point Roman wins the title that Seth Rollins holds, so that it just even creates more of a dominance. See, Sasha, you say that people are getting tired of the Bloodline storyline, but wasn't that the most viewed SummerSlam? And the main event was Jey Uso and Roman Reigns? And I get it, it's been 3 years now, but like Bruno Sammartino held that title for like 5 years straight, I think. Jackie says WWE is a place for bodybuilders and fitness models. Samoa Joe is a pro wrestler. He'd never fit in. You see, there was a different kind of mentality for a while. And you saw guys like, Samoa Joe was kind of like the main one, but Keith Lee. I felt like there was a ton of potential with all these guys, and they just didn't pull the trigger on any of it. It's kind of disappointing. But, I mean, no matter what, you can never take away from the fact that Samoa Joe is a former NXT champion. He's held titles in every single major promotion in the last 20 years. He held titles in the WWE, titles in ROH, titles in AEW, titles in Impact. He had it all. That was way back in the day. Sasha, see, I know that, but I think the way that WWE is, and I don't mean this as a negative at all, but you're going to like what they want you to like. That's how they do it. That's how they program all this. Remember when Roman was being pushed down our throats a few years ago and everybody hated him? And then, they change up the storyline. They put Paul Heyman with him. They work some WWE magic. And up until WrestleMania, people were in love with the guy. Totally infatuated. They know what they're doing. They're great storytellers. Look, they brought in Logan Paul. And I was one of these guys that thought, geez, another celebrity? But they brought Logan Paul in and made him interesting. And he had that match with The Miz, and then The Miz turned on him, and I'm like, no, don't make this dude a babyface. He doesn't need to be a babyface. But it was a long story that they were telling, and now, you know, he had that match with Ricochet, and I feel like, you know, they're priming him for something. Maybe a title shot with maybe, obviously I don't think he should be in the ring with Roman Reigns again, but what about Seth Rollins? Does anyone here in the chat think that Seth Rollins could get a good match out of Logan Paul? See? Yeah, okay. I think you're with me on that one, Sasha. And then for what Joseph said, Bruno would destroy any WWE champ. Yeah, well, Bruno was a badass, dude, and Bruno came from a time and space that isn't around anymore. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think Bruno would destroy Samoa Joe. You know, Bruno in his prime, Joe in his prime? I don't think so, man. I could be wrong. Joseph, you're not a big fan of LA Knight? I gotta tell you, man, he's been doing this gimmick for like 30 years. No, 30 years, that's an exaggeration. Since 2005. I saw him years and years ago. Maybe I guess it was closer to 2010. I saw him as a tag team with Brian Cage. How old is he? Yeah, sorry, Sasha. Yeah, no. 2010. I saw him form the tag team with Brian Cage as the Natural Selection, and then later they were part of the Percy Pringle III dynasty. And that dynasty is where he became the Mach 1 Tag Team Champions, later the NWA TV Tag Champions, I guess they called them the Heritage Tag Team Champions. But it's been almost the same guy. Like, he really hasn't changed all that much. I think for LA Knight, what's pivotal about LA Knight is that the fans are finally starting to catch up to him, and his attitude has improved enough for them to start booking him. You know, for a long time, he was probably his own worst enemy. I know that he got in a lot of heat with the management, and seemingly that's cooled off. And hopefully, like, look, he's on a run right now that's very Austin-esque. You know, speaking of people saying he's a Rock clone or a Rock clone or an Austin clone or anything like that. But man, I just see that there's a big opportunity for him. And, you know, I'm going to be, here's J. Cal, the Alliance blog, alliance-wrestling.com, however you look at this channel. Here's what I think would be the best way to use him. He needs to be the one to defeat Roman Reigns to win the titles. And I know a lot of people push back on that. No way, it's too soon. No. There's no one on the roster that would benefit more, that makes the most sense. Cody doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. He should win the title, sure, at some point, but he doesn't need to be the one to beat Roman. Sasha, I think he's... Sasha, were you watching the WWE when Chris Jericho became the first unified champion? Oh, I would love to see LA Knight and Drew McIntyre feud over that title. And also, Joseph, the San Martino era, that missed me by maybe like a decade. But yeah, I think... Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to diminish San Martino at all. He was a badass, but I would put Samoa Joe over him. But Sasha, going back to when Chris Jericho became the unified champion, he needed it more than The Rock, he needed it more than Austin, and he needed it more than Triple H. And the fact that Jericho won it, you were on break from then. Okay, well, the idea is still there. The fact that Jericho won this title when he wasn't the established superstar that the other three guys were. Like, look, there was nobody bigger in the WWE at that time than Stone Cold Steve Austin. The Rock was a very close number 2, and not far behind was number 3, Triple H. Not one of those guys would have been a made man winning that world title any more than they already were, right? But Jericho was the odd man out. If Jericho loses that match, probably you forget about Jericho. But because he won that title, that night he unified the titles, it made him into a credible world heavyweight champion. Yeah, fighting Goldberg. And like, look, he probably could have kicked Goldberg's ass. It doesn't, like, you know, that kind of fighting is a whole lot different. But what I'm saying is, had Jericho not had that moment in that spotlight, he wouldn't have been the star that he became. I don't think that Seth Rollins needs to beat Roman Reigns to become a superstar. He's already as big of a star as he's ever going to be. I don't think Cody needs to beat Roman Reigns to become a bigger superstar. There's no bigger superstar in the WWE than Cody Rhodes. Him and Roman Reigns are probably about 1A and 1B, and Cody hasn't even won a title or main evented a WrestleMania yet. Well, I guess he main evented a WrestleMania, but didn't win. Anyways, you get what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, a guy like LA Knight, he is not a made dude. LA Knight is a very good professional wrestler, and he could be a very big star. But this is an ultimate jetpack. Whoever you put it on is going to be a made dude. So it's like, I don't care if it's Jey Uso. I don't care if it's Solo Sikoa. I don't care if it's freaking anybody on the roster. Logan Paul. Whoever is the one that eventually beats Roman Reigns is going to be a made guy. Period. You don't need Goldberg or Brock Lesnar to beat Roman Reigns. They're already made guys. You don't need Shawn Michaels to come back or Triple H to come back or The Rock to come back. They're already made guys. But a guy like LA Knight, he isn't defined yet as a super mega star. He's getting close. The fan reactions are there, but he's not that guy yet. The only other guy on the roster that makes sense to me besides LA Knight, and I put LA Knight right here, below him, I would say maybe Walter, right? Gunther. Maybe Gunther. Sasha said that Seth's quality went down, in my opinion. He hasn't been as big as he was when he had the WWE belt and the US belt. You might be right, Sasha, but the fan reactions are still very strong for him. The best part of the weekend was LA Knight and Chad Gable winning. Yeah, both of those were awesome moments, right? And that's what the WWE is about, providing moments. But I think I saw someone said that the WWE needs a new superstar. Oh, that was you, Sasha. WWE needs a new superstar. That's how you're going to get them. You can spend the next 15 years building up, the next superstar, right? Like, there's guys, Braun Breaker. I mean, sure, he's a guy that down the road could be the guy for them. He's got a long ways to go. Solo Sikoa is a young enough guy. Sami Callihan. Normally, I get Kevin Owens. But yeah, Braun Breaker's a guy that could be the future for them. A guy like Carmelo Hayes could be the future for him. A guy like LA Knight, you don't have that much time. He's not young. He's not a young dude. So putting him in that position, you maximize his potential right now. It's literally a rocket that you put on somebody and they take it to the next level. I'm sure Roman will be one beyond I hate is once he loses the belt. I would imagine that Roman's going to go do some movies, take some time off, heal up. He's been carrying the company for, like, I think you said earlier, Sasha, for 3 years. 3 years is a long time, and I'm sure he's got some nagging injuries that need to heal up. But at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is getting that opportunity to go to Hollywood and cash in on some of his stardom, right? But yeah, I think in the meantime, I really feel like when we're looking at the WWE, I don't think there's anyone more poised to be the next big thing than LA Knight. I think Zia Fatu would be good in the WWE. That's the youngest one, right? I just saw him show up in I think he just showed up in Reality of Wrestling, and yeah, I mean, he's very much poised to do something good in the WWE as well. He needs to grow into his body. He's still a young man. Yeah, well, Sasha, he doesn't need acting skills. I mean, you saw what did you see? When The Rock broke into Hollywood, what was it, the Scorpion King? I mean, he wasn't a very big actor there. If the DCU is a thing that's going to happen and they're going to recast Aquaman, couldn't he step in for Jason Momoa as the next Aquaman? And he freaking looks just like Jason Momoa. And if not Jason Momoa, not as Aquaman, there's a plethora of characters that he could play in the DCEU or the MCU or in any kind of like action movie. Roman's father, Alpha, when they won versus Putski and Tito, I was there. Wow. So you've been a long-time fan, Roman. Are you an East Coaster, Joseph? Joseph, I called you Roman. Joseph, are you from the East Coast? Sasha, I don't think Benoit will ever be in the Hall of Fame. I don't think you should put him in the Hall of Fame. I'm one of those people that I can't disconnect from what he did to what what his wrestling career was. Unfortunately, they're tied. Just like I don't look at like O.J. Simpson the same. Just like there's a lot of celebrities who have done atrocious things that I just no way. I can't keep them separate. They're all one person. If tomorrow I found out my next door neighbor was a murderer, I can't think, oh, he was a nice guy to me. He invited me over for barbecues. He's still the same person that murdered people. And I get it. There were injuries involved. He had a lot of brain damage. I understand that too, but I can't reconcile. At least for me, I'm only myself. I can't say anybody else or anything else. Let's see. Do you think Jay and Jimmy Uso is going to fight? I mean, I think they have to, right? They have to, because it's already kind of built into that storyline. I didn't watch Raw last night, so I might be out of it. I think, in fact, they probably aren't going to talk about it until SmackDown, but Jimmy and Jay have been very much a part of this whole Bloodline thing too. And with Jimmy turning on Jay, there's some jealousy there. Maybe there's some animosity there. At the end of the day, though, you got to look at this as the storyline continues. Jimmy and Jay are getting manipulated. It's just hard to say, man. I don't know. I think eventually they have to. I think that's where they've been built to at this point. WrestleMania, that makes a lot of sense too. I enjoy a lot of the WWE, but I'm not really a huge follower of the WWE. I actually watch more of the smaller wrestling companies. I watch the NWA. I watch United Wrestling Network. I've been meaning to get into Major League Wrestling, but it's kind of hard to do that. But what I do focus on is a lot of the pay-per-views. Ring of Honor, I would love to watch Ring of Honor. It's a pay-for-view right now, so I need to. I've been thinking about getting the Ring of Honor subscription. It's a ton of wrestling, but it's pretty good. I used to watch Impact, Sasha. I still keep up. I keep up on everything, but I don't really deep dive into it. WWE fan, I do follow AEW. In fact, I went to Double or Nothing earlier this year, but I kind of went in blind, right? Like, I know that MJF is the world champion. I know that Christian is the TBS champion. I was there to see Jade Cargill lose Jade Cargill is the TBS champion. Christian Cage is the TNT champion. I was there to see the title change hands with Chris Statlander. Sasha, are you not a big MJF fan? You watch Joseph watches Ring of Honor and small indie promotions around me. That is good. If you're in Philadelphia, Joseph, I don't know if you're still there, but one of my favorite promotions actually is in Glassboro, New Jersey. Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. It is very much a small indie. Used to be connected to the NWA. I was actually at their last show back in March. Yeah, March. And it was great. I loved it. Sasha, I think the foregone conclusion is that he will go to the WWE. I mean, I say that, but Tony Khan has a lot of money at his disposal, so who knows, really? I mean, if someone offered you $1 million to do your dream job, you're probably going to take it. If someone else offers you $10 million for that same dream job, just for a different company, I don't know, man. How do you say no to that? MJF is so young and so viable. Yeah, I see that. I'm sure Vince is itching to get. I'm sure everyone in the WWE is like, hey, is he being serious when he says 2024? Because, I think, sure, he fits into the WWE model. Is he going to be the same guy he is in AEW? Maybe. Probably not. It's hard to tell. And yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, he knows how to work. He can get over as a face. He's much better as a heel. But if they want him to be a baby face, it wouldn't be a problem at all. At all. That guy is good. He knows how to work. Who do I love in AEW? Well, I'll be honest. I am a huge Bryan Danielson guy. I know he's hurt at the moment. I'm a huge Samoa Joe guy. I definitely like Claudio Castagnoli. Looking at the AEW roster as it is right now, I'm not a big the Jericho Appreciation Society. I'm not really into that. I'm not really into Mox. I was never a John Moxley guy, so like I wasn't a Dean Ambrose guy either. It's nothing personal. It's just Kingston is a lot of fun, but I know he's kind of been off of TV for a while. I mean, who doesn't like FTR as a tag team, right? I like Lance Archer. They don't really use him very well. I like. I want to see Scorpio Sky. Speaking of which, that's my guy right there, Scorpio Sky. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Almost left him off the list. When Thunder Rosa comes back, I'll definitely be loving Thunder Rosa. I got to interview Thunder Rosa when she was on the NWA roster back in the day, so I'm a big Thunder Rosa fan. You know, and I hear a lot of the criticisms, and I don't care. I think she's a great wrestler. I think she's probably one of the best, and want to see what she's got going on when she comes back. Joseph said, I've heard of that promotion. I think Monster Factory in Paulsboro, New Jersey is involved. They do use a lot of the guys from Monster Factory. I know that they used Goldie, and there's a few other folks from the Monster Factory that have been in Dog. If you get an opportunity, I don't know how far you are from Glassboro, but I know they have an event coming up. It's part of like a community event where they'll be doing like a pause for the cause type thing where they're helping out an animal shelter with the like local police and stuff like that. They're going to have a whole wrestling show. It's a free one, so if you're not far from Glassboro, which I know when I was in Philly, that's where I stayed to go to the Glassboro show. It's like a 30-minute drive. It's not bad at all. How about Adam Cole, baby? Adam Cole's pretty dope. I loved Adam Cole, but I'm not. Jericho's starting to look like Ric Flair in his later years. Yeah, well, I mean, and that's the thing. Jericho used to be one of my favorites. I think I could certainly respect and admire his passion for pro wrestling. He has obviously not been diminished, whether it be the Painmaker in New Japan Pro Wrestling. But the fact of the matter is that he's still around and wrestling at a high level. Yes, I still salute Jericho, but I'm not really a fan of what he is doing these days. So I just kind of, no, I'm not a big fan of Jericho, but, I'm glad he's still having success. And WWE fan. Do I like Roman? Heck yeah, I like Roman. I think Roman is right now the measuring stick of what a superstar is in pro wrestling. WWE, Sasha said, I think Roman has grown a lot, but sometimes his mic skills are lacking, but his moveset has grown. I mean, by comparison, who in the WWE is better on the mic than Roman Reigns? You might say LA Knight, I'd probably agree with you. You might say Seth Rollins, I'd probably agree with you. Is he better than The Rock? Absolutely not. Is he better than Stone Cold? No. Not even close. Seth, maybe, but what I think about Roman Reigns is, you're right. His moveset is there, but the person that needs to do the talking is Paul Heyman, probably the greatest manager of our lifetime. I know a lot of people weren't happy about that. I know a lot of people weren't happy with his comments about Bobby the Brain Heenan, but I mean, that's what a manager does. They say over-the-top things. They overemphasize things because they're trying to get... They're so boastful and so grandiose because that's how they get their clients over. So when Roman Reigns is out there, he doesn't need to talk. He just needs to be strong and pretty and wrestle well, because That's what Paul Heyman's there for. He got a 99 overall in 2K23. I don't see anyone getting higher than a 99. Cody has mic skills. Oh, Cody has okay mic skills. I think Cody's great on the mic. He's somebody I forgot when you said that. Cody probably has the best mic skills right now in the WWE. That's my opinion. I know I'm not always right, but that's what I would say. And I think, I think in terms of pure mic skills, no one's better than Cody. I think overall, Cody's the guy that you want to be stirring the ship, right? Like Roman is steering the ship. Roman is selling tickets. Roman is the guy. But I think Cody puts you on a very different level. Joseph says nobody was like the Brain, and I agree with you, right? One of the wrestlers that I really respect and admire quite a bit is you guys might know him in the WWE world as the WWE official Adam Pearce. What you might not know about Adam Pearce is he is a 5-time NWA World's Heavyweight Champion and really carried the NWA on his back in those leaner years. In fact, Adam Pearce was maybe the top guy on the independents for a while, and he's been reduced. Reduced sounds like a bad word. He is now an authority figure for the WWE. No bumps, and still involved in the business. Helps train people. Helps produce segments. But he's incredible. Great promo guy. And if you asked him who his favorite wrestler is, he'd say Bobby the Brain Heenan. Not manager, wrestler. Bobby the Brain Heenan could work. Nobody could bump like him. Maybe Cornette would be a close second. But I'm a Paul Heyman guy. I think Heyman has made more stars. You talk about actual working as a manager, taking bumps. No one did a better job than Bobby the Brain Heenan. What Bobby did versus what Heyman does is Heyman makes you respect the talent. Heyman gets you to love the wrestler. Nobody wanted to give Brock Lesnar the credit, but he went out there and worked for it, right? Like nobody wanted to like Roman Reigns. Heyman made you recognize the tribal chief, but then you go to a guy like Bobby the Brain Heenan. He was never trying to get you to like his guys. He wanted you to hate his guys. You remember all the shit he would talk about Hulk Hogan? He never went out there and said, hey, you need to respect what Kurt Hennig can do in the ring here. No, he said, this is Mr. Perfect. Whether you like it or not, this is the man who's the most perfect in the ring. You didn't like Andre the Giant? Well, who cares? He didn't care if you liked Andre. He's the biggest man in professional wrestling, the biggest attraction of all time. He didn't care what you thought about him. Putting Bundy with Big John Studd, he didn't care if you liked those guys. It didn't matter to him. Paul Heyman tries to sell you his client. He tries to sell you his talent. Bobby the Brain didn't. That's just, I guess, one way to acknowledge it. I liked Bobby the Brain. Heyman is also friendly to the fans. Yeah, because he knows where his bread is buttered, because he knows when his career is done in the WWE. You got to remember, these guys aren't long for the world. If Heyman is fired tomorrow, most of us wouldn't even make a big deal about it, right? But the minute he leaves the WWE, he has a job, telling stories for the rest of his life. Thank you for tuning in to the Alliance Blog Podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, the premier source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. Would you consider subscribing so you never miss a new episode? You can follow us on all social media at the Alliance Blog, and we stream live on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern at the Alliance Blog. Until then, we are the Alliance.